Yeah, it's a new world. Trump has already spoken to Putin on the phone.
Hmm. Yeah, they're probably setting up the party now.
Right, but the party doesn't involve thermonuclear war.
Right, exactly. It's going to be like, hey, Vlad, why don't let's get something going here so we can get back to the party through door number 2.
And you certainly don't want Hillary Clinton at a party.
Oh, my goodness. Well, that was an interesting piece that you sent me with the ear grabbing and the screaming. And oh, boy.
Yeah, I also read that when the cleanup crew went in for her after party, which they was assuming was a victory party, but of course it turned out not to, there was like a, $500,000 big giant screen TV from Saudi Arabia that was broken by $1 million bottle of champagne. And the cake was kicked over. There was like a cake with the presidential seal in a little White House, and that was kicked over all over the ground and just completely trashed.
Yeah. Well, they were living in a parallel universe, and it finally caught up with them that the whole country didn't go along with a parallel universe.
Well, they had also prepared like a $500,000 fake glass ceiling shattering effect to happen where she was going to give the speech. There was a glass ceiling and like $300,000 worth of fireworks, which all got canceled. All paid for by the Clinton Foundation, by the way. Doesn't go to, well, some of it goes to watered down AIDS drugs, but most of it just goes to that type of stuff. And how much money do you think the Clinton Foundation is going to get in donations now?
Well, there'll still be idiots like Jeffrey Katzenberg who decide they still have to give money to the foundation. Just waiting for Hillary to rise again or something. I personally, I think their career is over. So the giant extortion plan is watered down. I mean,
imagine if you had spent $350,000 to go to George Clooney's house and sit next to HRC.
Yeah, well, actually, sitting next to her probably would have cost more.
Right.
They didn't tell you that, but it's well, the people one, as we said. It wasn't all about the elitist. It wasn't about Hollywood and DC and the New York elite. It was really about Americans.
And they're probably not screaming for an investigation and vote count, because if they did, they'd find out all the cheating that happened on the Democratic side. Because there was cheating. It was won in spite of cheating. That's why they were so confident right up until the end. Like, we've cheated our way in. We got nothing to worry about. Get those fireworks ready. Get the glass ceiling effect ready. Get that cake ready. Where's the $1 million bottle of champagne? Let's pop it.
Yeah. Oops. What is happening? The people have spoken. I think, and Obama, just fanning the flames of this lunacy out there, and of course, the political action committees that are funding all these protests, the ridiculous protests.
George Soros funded protests.
Yeah.
And Obama's backpedaling a little bit now, because now that HRC is not going to be president, like what power does she hold over anybody? Because nobody clearly likes her anyway. And so now what? I'm sure Bill is staying as far away from her as possible right now.
I'm sure, because she's such a maniac. But I still wouldn't be surprised if Obama gave her like amnesty or some giant pardon. Because, well, it depends who becomes the Attorney General under Trump, but there's Congress, they're still going ahead with their investigation. Just because she lost the election, that's not phasing the House Oversight Committee. So it's the trauma isn't over for the Clintons yet. But I think Trump is clearly focused on business, getting things going. He's going to go to Putin and say, okay, we're both big economies. How do we work together to make each country better? I mean, is spending $1 zillion on the military, is that the way to do it? I mean,
No.
And,
And
creating wars
Xi Jinping also called Trump.
Yeah.
Called Trump. And there's a video of Trump's granddaughter that's going viral in China right now.
Well,
I mean, the thing is it's convincing people that Trump is not as bad as what the media has made him out to be. Because, when you talk to the echo chamber people, which is most people, all they talk about is that he said the P word with little Billy Bush 11 years ago, and he's a horrible person. And he's a racist, and he hates everybody, and a Republican held everything is going to destroy everything. But what people don't realize is that Paul Ryan and Trump aren't on the same team. All these neocon Republicans they're all on Clinton's team. The sweet Southern Belle, she hates Trump. She would rather have tea with Clinton any day of the week, right?
Yeah, and Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing people didn't realize about Trump is his talent really is selecting good people to put around. Remember, his company used to be run by a woman.
Well,
and I read her book, and she's a very capable. So that's what he's going to do up there. He's going to say, okay, get me some great experts on this, and let's listen to them.
Well, and the other thing is people are like all scared. Oh, look at all these neocons and Wall Street people he's taking on his cabinet. Well, is that any different than what would be on Clinton's cabinet? Wall Street people and neocons. It's really no difference. And at least the Trump people come out and say, "Yeah, I'm this," But the Clintonians are exactly the same, only they pretend not to be, which is in some ways more dangerous.
Well, I think if you look at the lunacy that happened during the election right after the election when Trump was announced, the Dow futures went down 800 points. Now where is it?
Right.
Because all of these people who didn't bother really looking at anything that Trump was saying and seeing if it had any validity, suddenly now looked and they were like, gee, wait a second. If taxes go down on corporations, net after tax, which is the price to earnings ratio, is actually going to go up, so the stock market has to go up. And so now I think really, he'll have the infrastructure thing, he'll get that going. The money's already been allocated, it just hasn't been spent in years. We do need to have better airports. I mean, it's like, he's right, it is like going to a third world country to most of these places. At LAX, I mean, San Jose Airport was a joke for years. Now we finally somewhat upgraded it.
Yeah. Even driving up to Northern California, not all parts of the highway are created equal. I mean, some are. It is like a third world country.
Yeah.
Others, it's okay.
If you take 80 over to Nevada, you don't have to look for the sign. You can tell the instant you go into Nevada, the road gets better. So that's part of the California lunacy that we're living here, thinking everything is okay, and so I think the real challenge for Trump will be after he gets us going is adopting something like Plan 182, because remember, infrastructure jobs, if they're not really permanent jobs, okay, because once you revitalize an airport, for example, you don't have to keep revitalizing it every couple of years. I mean, it's usually a decade or more. So you really need the sustainability in the smaller businesses, but he'll figure that out eventually. Maybe I can get that message to him some way. I'm supposed to be having a meeting with some leader in congressional politics here soon. So,
well, everything is definitely turning on its head, and the Democratic Party is now like the old school Republican Party, and their whole thing now is just wedge issues. Only it's like the kind of the opposite of wedge issues. Like, hey, if you don't vote for us, you're a racist.
Yeah, exactly.
They talk about Trump being a racist, but all I hear is from the Clintonian side about people being racist and misogynists and evil and horrible and deplorable and unredeemable and wedge issue. I'm not
Yeah.
hearing that so much from the Republicans, although the Republicans were like that in the past. But
Yeah.
a lot of these issues, like gay marriage, is a dead issue now, and even Trump says it's a dead issue. You know, you can't beat people over the head with that. I mean, I know Huckleberry doesn't want to hear that. You know, Huckleberry doesn't want to hear that. But and you know, it's a dead issue. So
Yeah, I think he's going to continue to debunk all these fears that people had. Like, I think the one fear that's not going to go away is this whole insane idea of sanctuary cities.
well, you know that freaking the DNC, they're looking at Howard Dean or Keith Ellison, and Keith Ellison supports the no-fly zone. He calls himself a
Of course he
progressive,
does.
but yet, you know, supports a no-fly zone. And so many of these people, like Elizabeth Warren, lost massive credibility. And Obama, he's regretting it now because he, like, lost tons of credibility flying around on the taxpayer's dime, shaming people into voting for Hillary Clinton, and she still loses.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
His
You can see it.
his shaming didn't work. He couldn't.
And by
Yeah.
the way, your legacy is going to be repealed by Donald Trump. Although I think, he's intelligent. He's saying, well, look, we're not going to take it away until we have something to replace it with. But when you have 99 counties in North Carolina out of the 100 with only one healthcare provider, what do you think? That's like having only one gas station in your town. What do you think they're going to do with the price of gas?
Yeah, well, the other thing is the AFC. It was written by insurance companies and pharmaceutical companies, and Obama comes to the table with something that was right of a Nixon proposal. He had the Senate and the House. He could have gone single payer or public option, but he went for something that was even to the right of Nixon's proposal. So I don't buy this that, well, Congress stopped Obama everywhere. Obama didn't do anything. He was basically an extension of George Bush, and people have to face it. He's not that different than George Bush.
Well, and the powers to be, got him in the room and said, look, this is the way it has to happen. Now, either play ball or else you don't get a second term. And so right in the first term, he was playing ball. In 2010, they had the House and the Senate and the presidency. He could have done whatever he wanted, and he did nothing.
He's completely gone over to the dark side at this point. He's completely on the dark side, and history is not going to look back on him all that kindly, I don't think.
No, his footnote will be, yes, he was the first black president in America, but he was terrible. He was about as bad as Jimmy Carter. He was worse than Jimmy Carter, because at least Jimmy Carter had a belief in his heart that he was doing the right thing.
Right.
Obama knew he wasn't doing the right thing, okay? So I really think Trump is going to surprise people, because they're going to find out he's not a racist. He's going to try to help the black communities and especially the inner cities. He's going to definitely grow the economy. I think the flaw in his policies is that just repatriating money is going to do nothing other than give it to people like Carl Icahn in dividends, and they're not going to do anything with it. So that whole Wall Street thing really has to be rethought, because it's fundamentally not. I know it's good for Manhattan, and that's of course why they voted for Hillary, but outside of Manhattan, it really doesn't do much for the rest of the country. But all of the naysayers who said, remember people like Buffett coming on and George Soros saying the stock market's going to tank. Well, that's what they wanted to happen, because they were short the market. But then now with the market flirting with 19,000, and it's going to go to 20,000 during Trump's probably first year.
Yeah, it's just the media's got to stop peddling all this fear, because it's not as bad as Dennis the Menace's dad makes things out to be.
No, but
or John Oliver.
Yeah. Those people who have their eyes open, though, as time goes on, are going to say, "Gee, really? New York Times, this didn't happen." And even the Times called themselves out saying we're going to have to do. But they did it because they're afraid of losing Trump supporters. they said, oh, we didn't get the whole Trump thing, and so we've got to change to line up more with them. In other words, we want your money. We're going to tell whatever lies we want, but we'll just try to be a little nicer to you.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of backpedaling going on right now because the mainstream media lost all their credibility. They were wrong on the polls. They were wrong on everything.
We all know that the Washington Post was a total Clinton surrogate, and now Bezos is worried that I better be a little nice to Trump. What if he starts taxing everything from Amazon like they should have years ago? I mean, Amazon shouldn't be getting a free ride just because they ship it from some other place.
At least all these places are lucky that I don't think Trump is vindictive like Clinton is. That's why they were so afraid of Clinton. I mean, look at the temper tantrum she threw the night she lost.
Yeah.
A drunk stupor temper tantrum, and couldn't give her speech until they cleaned her up the next day.
Yeah. Well, exactly. I think Trump is really more like, okay, how do we move this thing forward now? How do we make something? Remember, the one thing that you do when you're building things in construction, you have to complete something. You can't just say, let's repile this over here and let's do that. Look at what he did with the Central Park skating rink. That thing was droning on for years, and he had to complete it in almost. So he's about action now. Well, he's not going to do it.
He's the negotiator in chief. He got Putin on the phone before he's even in office, which is more than Obama did in 8 years.
Yeah. No, see, that didn't fit Obama's agenda, being friends with Putin, because then you can't have global war all over the place, and
right.
That's what he wanted. So, gee, if you make friends and the Russians aren't really at each other, and we don't have to spend $6 trillion on the Middle East, maybe that's better for our country. Now, interestingly enough, that's why it's so important to grow the economy. If the economy, instead of growing at 2%, and less, as it's done under Obama, if it grew at 4%, which is not astronomical, so Reagan grew it higher than that. But if it grew at 4%, which is Trump's goal, over a 10-year period, you know how much additional revenue the U.S. government would take in taxes and income, even with the reduced rates of Trump's thing, $5 trillion.
Right.
So that goes a long way into not only balancing the budget, but reducing the deficit.
America needs to take a page out of the Oprah playbook where she says, hey, let's at least have a little faith and give this guy a chance. And then everybody jumps all over it. Yeah. Every JT type out there jumps all over her for being a little reasonable. How can you, Oprah? Are you a racist?
Yeah. Stereotypes are interesting because it relieves you of the trauma of having to actually think.
Not everyone who voted for Trump is draped at home in a Confederate flag, clutching a gun.
No, actually, most of them actually just want a real job that pays real work. Not like, as the one guy said when Obama was saying how many jobs he's created, and the guy said, "Yeah, I know, I have 3 of them." So, and the Mexican peso, as they say, but we say peso, is going down, and the reality is, Trump is going to say, look, all we want is fair, okay? And so we'll buy exactly as much from you as you buy from us, okay? That way there's no dislocation of national wealth. But that hasn't existed for years, and idiots like that guy Field from Ford Motor Company saying, oh, we're still going to build this plant. If you're a Trump supporter and you're thinking, do I want to go buy a Ford when this guy just said this? That he doesn't care. And first of all, he's going to lose that battle because what is he going to do? Well, we're still going to do it, and Trump's going to say, great, I'm still going to tax you, just as I said I was going to tax you.
And the other thing about Trump is, for everybody who's like afraid, climate change out the window, everything gone. at least people are going to be talking about these issues now. It comes back to the table. Climate change and all the fossil fuel issues with Clinton or Obama, nobody's going to talk about it because they're going to think they're doing something about it when there's really no difference in climate change between Trump or Clinton. There's no difference. Only Clinton claims that she's concerned about global warming and that, oh yeah, climate change is real. She's not going to do anything about it. None of her donors wanted to do anything about it, and she won't. And neither did Obama. Obama's Mr. Big Oil. But the media doesn't portray them that way. And so nobody talks about it, and they think it's okay. See, Obama was the perfect corporate shill because it made everybody feel like, oh, okay, he's not going to screw us over. He's not pro corporate, pro bank, pro fossil fuel. You know, he's not. He's a peace. He won the Nobel Peace Prize. So he was the perfect shill, and Hillary was trying to shill in the same way. Only she sucks at it, and she's horrible. And but Trump, at least it's all on the table because everyone's, oh my God, climate change. Oh my God, corporations. Oh my God, Wall Street. Oh my God, the rich are going to keep everything. So people are afraid of what Trump might do that Obama and Clinton have already done. And they're afraid of that. But at least it gets people talking about it. Will get people organized and they become more of issues, which otherwise they never would be, you know?
Well, it reminds me of the lunacy in one of the Woody Allen movies when he's playing Albie Singer, and he's like a 10, 11, 12-year-old kid, and his mother takes him to the doctor, and the doctor says, Albie, why won't you go to school? Why are you so depressed? And the kid says, the universe is expanding. And the doctor goes, so? He goes, what's the use? In other words, we're all doomed. It may happen 3 trillion years from now, but what? So I do give Oprah credit for just using a modicum of intelligence to say to her followers, look, let's see what happens with this guy.
Then she had to apologize for it. She had to apologize for being rational. Because the Bill Maher's and the John Olivers and, of the
Stephen
world.
Colbert's and the Trevor, whatever the guy's name is.
Dennis Menace's dads and Vanderbilt kids.
Well, it's time for the DJ network.
Yeah. JT, pictures of JT crying on the beach because his girl, that old bag lost. Like it matters to him anyway, Like Katy Perry's life is any different depending on who's president. It's really any different.
The one person you never saw jump into the Hillary bandwagon was Bob Dylan. And he's always been kind of his own thinker. And in that documentary actually done by Marty Scorsese about Dylan when he interviewed Joan Baez, and she said, we never could get him, to do certain things that we wanted him to do. He was simply his own person. So I think there are a lot of Americans now, and they're not only white, they're black and other and Latinos who are going to say, all right, let's just see if he does what he's going to do. We're going to hold him, and if he does it, they're going to go, gee, maybe these trade deals are working out now. And this guy, I cannot believe at the LA Auto Show he said he's going to do it. What he should have said is, we have a business plan. I want to talk to President Trump about it.
And that's the other thing, too, is Trump's feet are going to be held to the fire nonstop. Because everybody's against him and has been against him from the get-go. His feet will be held to the fire constantly. I mean, even the Republican establishment doesn't like him. Yeah. So
which is an endorsement if you can ever get an endorsement.
Yeah, it is an endorsement, but it's like, so at least there's going to be accountability the whole way. If there was a Clintonian win, there'd be no accountability because it would just be people praising how she's not how great she is and how wonderful her policies are, and would never question that she's sick or corrupt or They didn't find anything. You know what would be really great, dude, is if Trump pardoned Julian Assange. How much cred would he get for doing that?
See, Assange's problem is, so he's being charged outside the United States, so he would have to work some deal with the Brits, but that could be done. I mean,
and remember, he's the negotiator in chief.
Right, and that's it. He's, people around. He's going to go, okay, let's make a deal here. What do we give you?
He's the negotiator in chief. That's what they elected. The negotiator in chief.
Yeah, he's not going to. He doesn't want to, go to war with China. So he's going to say, look, here's our new trade plan: zero trade balance. You still get to ship stuff to us, and we get to ship stuff to you. Let's see how that works for you. Because the opposite is we shut down China Inc. and your country explodes. So, which is it? And we're holding all of the cards. That's the crazy thing for him. When he goes in to negotiate on a property or something, or a bank or a loan, he's not holding all the cards. Now, here's president of, it's like Russia. Our economy is 16 times the size of Russia's economy. Mm-hmm. Well, let's do business. Let's figure out how we do business with each other. Okay, we're holding, oh, by the way, they talked about the inside straight. Yeah, he's holding the royal flush. That's what he's holding. Here, I'll show you my cards here. China, yes, we like a strong military, and peace through strength he learned that from Ronald Reagan, and having worked on some of those military programs during the time, it works. It works just in the sense that people know that you're serious about talking about things. Not, I'm drawing a line in the sand, and don't cross that line in Syria, otherwise, you just crossed it? Well, I'm going to do something else.
Well,
so in other words,
after the election, the world got a whole lot safer.
Yeah, it did get safer. Right? People don't realize it now, but they will realize it after a few years that it got much safer.
It got a whole lot safer. I mean, could you imagine that witch knocking over her presidential cake and throwing $1 million bottles of champagne at television screens and grabbing assistants by the ear and threatening to death upon them and blaming everybody?
Yep. Yeah.
Is that the person you want negotiating with Putin?
Yeah, exactly. You talk about fit for being president. I mean, it's like fit for being the Wicked Witch of the West.
Bill Clinton just wants to get in on their hang time. He just wants to get in on it. Come on, man. I want in.
Yeah. Well, he's on the outside looking in for sure now. But they'll try to run Chelsea in there. She'll be the next witch. But yeah, I think so. There it is. I mean, let's give Trump a chance to deliver. And my bet, just as I said he was going to win, my bet is he will deliver.